started, folks. Just because we do have a lot to cover, and want to make sure that I get you guys out of here by 5. So I just want to see who's awake. I want to see who's paying attention. You're like, wait. So I got you till 3. I know that.
Get your wings.
I got you till 3. But what I will do is if at the end of the session you have additional questions, either from Leadstreet or the Launchpad session we did this morning, then I will stay afterwards and answer as many questions as I possibly can. So yes, 3 o'clock. Okay, so thank you for attending this morning. There was quite a bit that you were getting exposed to and that I talked about. Again, the idea is not to make it overwhelming, but please, of all the things that you heard this morning, pick one thing to start with. That's it. Just pick one thing, and then just do that. And then pick another thing maybe in a couple of days, and then do that. So just start slow. So either it be Design Center, or in working with flyers, or working with your website, or again, maybe looking into the resources card. So just pick one thing, just work on that. This way it makes it a little bit more palatable. Now, this afternoon we're going to talk about Leadstreet. And Leadstreet, like I mentioned earlier, replaces 5Street as the lead generating platform. However, I look at it more than just that. I look at it as the CRM tool that you now have at your fingertips. If you're not currently using a CRM, this presentation, I talk a lot about how I would use a CRM and how I do use mine. And again, if you like what I'm saying, adopt it. And if you don't, again, you can ignore it. My kids ignore me all the time. So like, no one ever listens to me, right? Why do kids? But please understand that a CRM tool, the customer relationship management tool, is really there to make your life more efficient. Okay? So first things first, again, I've already gone through who I am, so I'll bypass this. Here's our agenda for today. This afternoon, we will be talking about Remax.ca and the lead routing protocol, if you will. We're going to talk about profile setup in Leadstreet, but the truth is, profile setup is really not the right phrasing. It's not the right words, because your profile will always be set up in the hamburger menu in Launchpad. Do you guys remember we did that this morning? That is where you set up your profile. So anything related to Remax.ca and what you want the consumer to see or read, that's all done there. This is really just setting up your notifications for the leads that come in. That's all it is. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about the contact manager, email marketing, and the campaigns that you can set up as your CRM tool. And then we're going to talk about the listing manager, where you can go and input an exclusive listing, and you can also pull some home sellers reports. So this is a bit more of a manageable agenda. There is one part of this entire presentation where, again, you're going to want to throw something at me. And that's the middle part where we talk about inputting or uploading your multiple contacts. So I've already set the stage for that this morning, where I said there's a video which will replay everything that I talk about today. But please just bear with me, because I do have to explain it to you. I'm explaining it to you the best way I know how, but once it actually gets done, once I actually explain it, doing it really isn't that bad. So I'm going to show you live how you can prepare your database for import into Leadstreet. Okay? So, first things first, log into Launchpad. And if you're not in Launchpad yet, again, I've gone through this slide already. Make sure that you do find a way to get into Launchpad, either because you're brand new or because you maybe forgot your password. But let me know that you're all in Launchpad, because once you're in Launchpad, we're going to go to the App Store. If you haven't already favorited Leadstreet as your favorite as a favorite tile, it may not show up here in your My Tools. But go to the App Store, find the Leadstreet tile, and then open up Leadstreet. Now, have you all had the opportunity to set up your Leadstreet accounts?
No.
Okay, if you haven't, don't worry. That's why we're here. I'm going to show you how to do all of this. Okay? If you have set up your Leadstreet account, then the next screen you see is going to be different than what I'm going to show on the slides. If you've never set up your Leadstreet account, this is what you're going to see. So put your hand up if this is what you see. Not a problem. Put your hand up if you see your dashboard. Not a problem either. Do me just one favor. For those of you who are seeing their dashboard, go up to your URL bar, if you will, and you'll see if you click inside there, it ends with /dashboard, am I right?
Yeah.
Click in there and just replace the word dashboard, just the word dashboard, with onboard, and then click enter. So just do that for me, please. And that means you're back to here, right? So if you replace it with onboarding,
No. What is it supposed to
it's going to be, you're going to replace just the word dashboard with onboarding.
Onboarding. You said onboarding.
I said onboarding.
No, you don't.
All right, so.
I got your back though.
Oh, excellent, thank you. I'll hang on this side of the room. So once you've replaced it with onboarding, you're going to end up on this page, am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so for those of you who originally ended up on your dashboard, just listen because it means you've already done this. Now, for those of you who need to set it up for the first time, I'm going to walk you through this page. The first thing you're going to notice is the agent ID field. What you need to type in there is your agent ID that you use to access your MLS board. Not the password, the user ID. So whatever that user ID is to access your MLS board, you type in here. So if you're a member of TREB, then it usually begins with a 9, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry? Now, if you're a member of 2 boards, okay, here's what you do. You type your main, what I would do, they say it doesn't matter, but just what I would do is I type my main board first, comma, and then the next board ID. Okay, so that identifies both. All right? So it'll be your main board, comma, and then your second board. Okay? Sorry, okay. All right, now, if I can ask that you not get ahead, because if you get ahead, it kind of slows me down, so I got to walk over. So, the next thing you're going to see is you're going to see office ID beside your agent ID. There should be stuff in there already. Leave that alone, right? Don't touch that. Yep.
Agent ID, is it comma space and then the second one?
I'm told it doesn't matter. That's what I'm told by the tech team. Okay? The question is it comma space and then the second one? The tech team has told me it doesn't matter if you put a space or not. Because I've asked the same question. Now, ignore office ID because your office is set up, so they've done all that. Look to this box in the middle. Look at the email, the primary email. Make sure that's what you want. Is it what you want? And then you can edit it. Put your cursor in there, delete it, and edit it. Everyone seems to think that only the fields in white can be edited. In this middle section, you can edit any of those fields. So just go in there now and just change that email to what you want that email to be. Now, the secondary email is if you want to include a secondary email, you're more than welcome to. I probably wouldn't do that, and I'll tell you why. Because whenever you send something out, it goes to both emails. You're getting it twice. And if your secondary email forwards to your primary email, then you really get it twice. So you can leave secondary email alone. But please fill in the mobile number field. Please fill that in. And once you've done that, just click next. And then actually just let me know you're all done, and then we're going to click next. And I'll show you where to go from the next.
So MLS ID, you can leave one.
As a matter of fact, thank you for that. MLS ID. If you have now you don't have to have a listing for this, okay? This setup will work just as well if you leave it blank. But if you wanted to make it easier for the system to find you, if you have a listing, take the MLS ID of that listing and put it in here. Now, if you've got 5 listings, don't put all 5. Just take one of your listings and put it in here. Now, what's your name again?
Yeah.
Deanna. You've listed what? You have a listing, right? I'm just saying, you probably have it.
Sold.
I'm sorry?
Everything's sold right now.
Okay, great. But let's say, because you're a member of 2 boards, right? If you listed 123 Main Street South, and that's listed on the Toronto Real Estate Board and the other board, and the Barrie, of course, the Barrie Board. You've got 2 separate MLS IDs for the same listing, right? You would do the same thing here that you did in Agent ID. So you would type in the first MLS ID, which is, let's say, your Barrie Board, comma, and then the next MLS ID for the Toronto Real Estate Board. So that finds it on both boards. And again, it's not necessary. It's just like cheating. So it's like running the 100-yard dash with a backpack behind, with a rocket pack behind you. It's just quicker to get there. But if you don't have a listing, don't worry about it, leave it blank. Okay? So now, if you have a listing and you want to put it in there and you don't remember, do you remember what we did with the dashboard and the onboarding, where we flipped out the words? You can go back to here and do that later on, okay? You can do it later on. Now, the reason why we flipped out dashboard and onboarding is because once you go through the next few pages of this onboarding process, you don't go back to this page anymore. You just end up on the dashboard. So, if you're comfortable with what we did on this page, knowing full well you can always go back, let's click next, okay? And you're going to end up on this page here.
Question.
Yes?
When you put your MLS listing in and you sell it, you have to go back and take that.
No. The only time, you put the MLS listing in so that it identifies you for that time. That's it. Once it's sold, it's just good. It has nothing to do with it being sold later.
So do you put the next one in?
No. You just do it the one time. So what you're doing is, if you have a listing and you want to make it easier for the system to find, you take that one listing, and during this process of it trying to find you, it's going to see who you are based on your agent ID. And then it's going to say, oh, and here are the board, and here's a listing for this board to confirm this ID. And then it just does that for that moment. And then after that, it doesn't matter what happens to the listing. It can sell, you can cancel it, whatever. But you never have to go back and put a new listing in there. You just do it the one time. Okay? Just for that one-time setup. Is that clear? Yeah? Okay, great. Now on this page here, what you do is look at the middle column only. The column on the left and the column on the right mean nothing. I don't even remember what they look like. I think one says agent something. Account, yes, that means nothing. What matters on this page is that middle column, listing source. So look to see whether your board is identified in there with a check mark to the left.
It's a Kitchener.
Okay, if you see like kitchen and there's check marks there, don't worry about that. Look for your board. So is it there with a check mark?
No, but there's Toronto, Orbis.
Yeah.
Might be our board.
Because you guys are part of Ordis, right? Yeah.
And there's Toronto Treb.
Toronto Treb, so who here's part of the Toronto Real Estate Board? Okay, so make sure 62507 is checked off.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's good. If 2507 is checked off, that means nothing. But 62507 has to be checked off. Both will be checked off, but the important one is 62507.
Okay.
Yes?
What if you're a member of Barrie and Toronto? Does it come up as Toronto
Is that the
Ordis?
That would be the Ordis?
The
Yeah.
3186, that covers big, if you're
That
Barrie.
covers, yeah, because you're part of Ordis, right? And I think it says Ordis, is it Mrs., no, where's
Toronto.
Toronto? Yeah, Toronto, because that's where the head office is.
So do you
right?
unclick?
No, don't unclick anything. Just make sure there's a click. So I'm gonna walk over there and just
Yeah.
make sure I see what you've got. Sorry, squeeze through.
So it came up as Kitchener,
Okay, leave that alone.
okay?
Okay, where's it?
I
Oh, yeah,
I
okay.
clicked that.
Oh, that's fine then. Yeah, that's good. That's okay. All right? Oh, don't worry about that. All you're looking for is 6507. Don't worry about anything else. Okay? I know it's odd. So that's why I have to spend some time on this. Okay? All right, so moving on. I want to highlight something because this happens all the time. Toronto words. No, you're part of Ordis as a group. You're part of Ordis. So you see where there's a toggle switch to the right where it says off?
There we go. Yeah. Yes.
No, that's Ordis. You're not Ordis though, right? Yeah. Probably there already.
What are you sharing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, yeah, you got one check mark. All right, so, you see that? Just leave it there for now. So notice on the right, there are toggle switches, okay? And I believe right beside your name, there's a toggle switch. So first of all, right beside your photo, I've got a big banner that's any toggle switch that references homes.com, you completely ignore. Because homes.com is the platform that provides this, but we don't list our properties on homes.com. So whenever you see a reference to a toggle switch and homes.com, just ignore it. Okay? Now, the board, where it says the boards and there's that toggle switch, again, just ignore that. All you're looking for is that white check mark beside. Okay, so now click next. Once you click next, this says profile setup. Ignore this page. Okay? Just stay there for a second. Yeah?
Sorry, the part where it says Toronto orders.
Yes.
Click on or off?
No, leave it alone. That one, yeah. So click next. Now, ignore profile setup. Click next. Ignore social networks. Click next.
Okay, wait.
And then click finish. Congratulations, you're done. We can go home. No. Now, once you click finish, you're going to end up on your dashboard page. So like I said before at the very beginning, going forward from now on, when you log into Leadstreet, you're going to end up on this page. If you ever want to go back to the welcome page, you got to do that onboarding dashboard trick. Okay, so again, this slide deck will be emailed to you. So here's a slide that shows you that little trick. Just to remind you, if you ever have to go back to the welcome page, just flip dashboard over to onboard. Okay? Now, moving on from here, okay, what I need you to do is, on your dashboard, agent dashboard, I want to just explain what this page is. This page is really a summary of everything you can do, okay, within Leadstreet. So if you scroll down, you're going to see where you can send your email. There's going to be a task section and things to do. There's a number of things you can do here. But more importantly, at the very beginning, you'll see a box that shows your listings, your leads, and your service areas. Now, there's a little bit of a bug right now where if you've got 5 listings and it shows 0, just click on that and it'll show you all your listings. It should, okay? That bug is, they're aware of it, so they're trying to fix it. But just because you're not seeing your listings in Leadstreet doesn't mean you don't have listings, right? They're there. It's just not showing up in this dashboard. Now, if you look to the top left, you'll see another hamburger menu and a Leadstreet icon. Okay? So, first of all, the Leadstreet icon, if you ever see that on any of the pages, if you click it, it'll always take you back to your dashboard. It's a shortcut back to your dashboard. The other shortcut back to your dashboard, because you may not always see the hamburger menu and the Leadstreet icon, you may see the word Remax and then apps. Now, click Remax and it takes you back to your dashboard. But if you do me a favor and click the hamburger menu for me, you'll see a bunch of different things that you can access for Leadstreet. Now, we're not going to go through all of them. We're going to go through the more important ones. Okay? Excuse me. And again, this will be interactive, so follow along. But the first thing I want you to do is I want you to click on, again, the hamburger menu and go to your profile by clicking a plus and then clicking About You. Okay? And when you do that, you're going to end up on this page right here. It says, I think it says your profile, I can't remember. But this is what it looks like. Are you guys here with me? Yeah. Okay, so there are 3 drawers below it. Lead acceptance, homes.com coverage area, and remax.ca postal code. I will remind you that there's a toggle switch beside your image. It says list in homes.com agent. What do you do with that? Nothing. Because we don't do anything with homes.com in terms of their site. So just ignore that. Now, the 2 drawers that matter to you here are the first one and the last one. Lead acceptance and remax.ca postal code. So if you can do me a favor and click lead acceptance by opening it up using the arrow keys to the right. Excuse me. Now, this says, would you like to receive leads from your office? And it defaults to yes. Let's leave that there, because we probably want to get leads from the office. Now, underneath that, it says, would you like to forward your leads to an office member? If you can do me a favor and just toggle that over to yes, tell me what you see.
Oh,
No, it says the person, you can put someone's name.
Yeah, you can just select someone that you want to forward the leads to. The reason why I'm showing you this is because as we go through Leadstreet, unlike in 5 Street where you can ignore leads, you really shouldn't be ignoring leads in Leadstreet because there's consequence to ignoring leads, okay? Which I'm going to explain as we talk about lead routing. But you have to act on a lead in Leadstreet, and acting on a lead is one of 3 things. You either accept it, you either decline it, or it's already been forwarded to somebody. So if you're on vacation and you forwarded your leads to somebody, you've acted on that lead. Okay? If you are a team leader and you don't work with buyer leads and you've permanently forwarded your leads to your buyer agent, you've acted on that lead permanently, right? So accept, decline, or have it forwarded. Those are 3 ways you can act on a lead. Now, let's toggle that back to no, because you don't want to forward your leads right now. Okay, so toggle that back to no. And let's open up remax.ca postal codes. So it's not really postal codes. It's just the FSA, forward sortation address, which is the first 3 characters of the actual 16-character postal code. So you all did this in 5 Street, right? Remember? Where you selected up to 10 unique?
Yeah.
Right, postal FSAs? You can do the same thing, but let me explain the differences between the 5 Street world and the Leadstreet world. Who here has ever received a lead in 5 Street and went, wow, that's far? Yeah? From where?
Steiner.
Stainer.
Yeah.
Okay. That's saying a lot about you right now, Ian. There's like this master, what is he talking about? That's not
There's no waterfront in Stainer, that's why it's hard. We're naming your
Where else? Let's ignore that one. Sudbury, okay, yeah. Well, a lot of people got that from Ask Remax, right? But anyways, the reason why you're getting those leads is because 1, someone in your brokerage or your office selected that FSA, believe it or not. Because keep in mind, in the world of 5 Street, the FSAs that you selected increased the weighting for the office to receive the leads, and the office then distributes it to the people in the office. So now, in Leadstreet, you're gonna select your FSAs, but only you are now going to receive leads from the FSAs you select. Okay? So, if you open this up, your first FSA is going to likely be where your office is located, all right? Underneath that it says, enter a postal code. It's really not the postal code, it's just the first 3 characters. So can you do me a favor and enter in an FSA right now, but go slow, because what happens is if you go slow enough, you don't have to go like 1, but just wait a bit, it formalizes and you just select that FSA, all right? So you've got 10 slots.
Yeah.
You can pick the same FSA 10 times, and what that does is it increases your chances of receiving leads from that
Got the
FSA
10 here, but I've got the one for
more than anyone else. The only problem with that is you're not going to get leads from any other FSA. So be strategic when you're selecting your 10 slots. So here's an example of someone who really likes L4G. And this person picked L4G 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And they picked L5A twice. And they used the remaining slots for other FSAs. So just be strategic. Now, remember what I told you guys that if you're working in a really large FSA area, sometimes the lead comes in and it's like an hour away? Now what you can do, as I mentioned earlier, is you can select a service area in that FSA to narrow down the leads. So what the system will do first is, it'll look to see the FSA of the queried property. And then it's going to see who amongst the Remax agents selected that FSA. Then it's going to go through an algorithm, blah, 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 blah. And then it's going to look to see if we have to apply a service area, then who selected the service area. And then it goes to that person. Now, I mentioned before that East Credit, where I don't know if I told you guys this for the class before, but I live in a neighborhood called East Credit, and it doesn't show up anywhere in the service area selection. Do you guys remember when we did the profile this morning and I showed you where to select your service areas? That's where you select your service areas. So East Credit is there, but I can walk East Credit. The FSA is like very small, it's like a 20-minute walk. But if you're working out where, Mary, right? Yeah. Where Mary is, then Mary wants to narrow down her FSA lead, her leads by selecting the service areas in LOL, right? So, now, again, if you're married, you're going to go in and you're going to find those service areas that matter to you. So you can still select the FSA, but then select the service areas to narrow it down. Okay? For us in the city or in suburban neighborhoods where, again, you can walk the FSA, it doesn't really matter. I'm still asking you to select service areas so it shows up on remax.ca. For Mary, it's a functional thing. For us in the city or in the suburbs, it's just a remax.ca awareness thing. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Just a question, the coverage areas for homes.com, you're not putting those in?
No, because, so that field was removed before, and then what Holmes discovered was there's certain aspects of the system that won't work without that field being there. So they had to put it back in. So you could literally go in and pick coverage areas there, but it won't matter, so I just ignore it. Okay? So again, just ignore that. Yep.
Where do you zero in on your LOL to get deeper?
Yeah, so go back to, I think I've hid them. So go back into your profile in Launchpad, and then you go into here, there it is. Remember this, we did this morning?
Yeah, okay.
And then on the left of the screen, you'll see, you can scroll down for the coverage areas.
Right, okay.
And then again, not everything will show up, but find the ones that are closest to what you need.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. So, okay, so we talked about that. Okay. So, with this. All right. Move on. Now, so what I want you guys to do is, we just finished About You. So I just want to walk, can I see your screen for a second? You don't have it, but, oh yeah, that's fine. On the left of the screen, okay, yours is zoomed in too much. Can you zoom down a bit? No, so here. Yeah, right there. Okay, so some of you might see this on the left of your screen. That's because, again, you're zoomed far out enough that you can squeeze a lot in. But if you don't see that, okay, because that's really just the main sections with the subsections ready to be clicked on. Always just go back to the hamburger menu, because right now we're going to go to contact information. So if you don't see this as an option, just go to the hamburger menu, go to your profile, and select contact information. Okay? You can do it right there. Click on that. Okay? Now, when you click contact information, what we're going to do is we're going to now set up our notification for receiving leads. Now, you're going to get an email anyway. However, like most people in this room, I'm guilty of this. Whenever I get that sound for an email, I don't react as quickly as I used to in the past. But I will always pick up my phone when I hear that for a text, right? So, we're going to set up your text messaging notification. So open up the text message setting drawer, and you're going to see this page. You're going to see text message setting, yes is opted in as a default, and you're going to see your phone number underneath. Go to the provider and select your provider, and then click save. What's going to happen is the toggle on the left is going to go from yes to no. Just don't worry about that. Okay? Who did that happen to? Yeah, don't worry about
It's
it.
supposed to say no now?
Yeah, it's supposed to say no. Okay? It doesn't matter either.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what it is. It only matters if you in your business are using two separate cell phones. So most of us don't. And the thing is, again, if that toggles over to no, don't worry about it, because it's still going to send text messages to your cell phone. The cell phone that's identified here in the screen field. Now, if you have, I know, actually, are all of your providers there? You see it? Yep.
I picked two choices. I'm with Rogers.
Yeah, okay, so you got Rogers and Rogers / T-Baytel.
Yes.
SMS. That's the one you want. The SMS.
T-Baytel?
No, Rogers / T-Baytel SMS, because that's Rogers' text messaging system.
Okay.
I'm going to trip over this thing. I'm telling you, I'm going flying
It should be
backwards.
deep in the way.
Yeah. Well, Jack's moving the camera now.
He's like, yeah.
All right, now, you've now set yourself up to receive text notification for when you're receiving a lead. So here's what it looks like. On the left, you're going to see the email version. So big green accept, big red decline, and on the right, again, that's what it looks like when you're receiving text notification. So like I said, you've got to act on a lead, accept it or decline it, but don't just ignore it anymore. Now keep in mind that based on this system, you should only be receiving leads from the FSAs you've selected, and that's why I've stressed before, be strategic. If for whatever reason you only want the one FSA, and I've actually had people say this to me, John, I don't need the 10 slots, just want the one FSA. Use the 10 slots for the one FSA to increase your weighting for the leads, okay? Use up all 10 slots. Yes?
If you get a lead from Homes Connect, is that part of this, or?
Does it actually say that?
No reply at homes.com.
Homes Connect is the platform, but I didn't think that Homes Connect was actually in the word. Pardon me? 2 days. 2 days ago, can't you see what it looks like? Thanks, sir. Yeah. So those are the leads from this. Okay, that's fine, that's a platform. So if you see that your lead's coming in, again, it should read that. So does that read similar to what you had? That doesn't reference Homes. Oh, I see. You know what? It's at Homes Connect, right? That's the email?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that's fine, because again, then Homes Connect is the platform that they're going through, okay? So if you see it and it gives you an opportunity to accept or decline, that's you getting the lead, all right? Now, let's just assume that you've accepted the lead. What does the consumer see? So the consumer, on my end, if I was the one triggering the lead, will see what I saw on 5 Street, the same thing. You can customize an autoresponder in 5 Street, remember that? No? Yes? Okay. Well, you can do that here. So what you want to do is you want to customize an email autoresponder, auto response. So here's how you do it. If you can do me a favor again, go to the hamburger menu and go to email marketing. Again, I'm going to show you how to do this. Okay? And go to message library. If you open up message library, you're going to see this screen. And all we're going to do now is set up our autoresponder. So if you please click new email message, you're going to end up on this screen where you're going to, on the first box on the left, it'll say email message name. Just type, again, you can do this now with what I have. You can change it later, totally change it later. But you can type in something like lead auto response. Okay? So when you type that in, go to the middle field, the category, drop it down with the arrow bar, and then select auto responder. And wait just a few seconds. I know that some of you, the system, yeah, they go to new email message. Click on that. And then on the box on the left, just for now, type in, what did I say? Lead auto response.
How did you get here again? I'm sorry.
Message library. So we're in email marketing in the hamburger menu.
Are we?
Okay. Yeah. Or, yeah, okay.
Okay, gotcha.
There.
That's all we need.
And then go to message library.
We don't need this person contact information.
No, because
Yeah. Now go to new message. Okay. So far so good. Okay. Now, once you've selected, again, you've got your lead auto response. Sorry, camera. And then auto responder. You should see a third field open up.
Yeah.
And that you're going to select, again, when you drop down the arrow, you're going to select default autoresponder. So I'm going to wait a little bit I'm going to talk, but I'm going to give you guys a lot of time to do this. So now what you do is, in the message box, just type in a really quick response. You can edit this later. Mine says something like, hello, thank you for reaching out. Oh, by the way, before we get into that, there's a subject, okay? The subject, the line says, thank you for reaching out. So again, the consumer is going to see my response. They'll say, thank you for reaching out. They're going to open up my email, and it's going to read, hello, thank you for reaching out. I commit to contacting you within the next 10 minutes to discuss your interest in this property. All the best. Now, the trailer is going to be pulled from my email signature, which we're going to get to a little bit later. Now, you can craft whatever auto response you want. This is just an idea, right? Having known what the expectation is of today's consumer, and the presentations that and the classes I've written, if you can respond to someone within the first 7 minutes of getting that lead, there's roughly a 100% chance you're going to connect with them, and there's over a 70% chance you can turn that into an actual face-to-face meeting. Whether it goes anywhere, that's up to you guys. But that's why, for my own personal autoresponder, I say to them, I commit to reaching out to you within 10 minutes. If I'm driving, I will pull over. That's just a fact. That's me. You don't have to. Okay? Now, you can preview this. Click preview. And again, I'm not going to go beyond where we are now to give you guys some time, but that's what my autoresponder looks like. So I'll give you guys about a minute. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'll show you where to go to edit it out. Okay? There are people who don't like to give it a 10-minute window because, again, for whatever reason, they don't want to commit to that. That's totally fine. It's up to you. It's your business. Okay, so craft whatever you want. And the reason why we're spending time on this now is because between now and when you get home, if you were to accept the lead, I at least want there to be an auto response. Let me know when you're done.
No, that's, yes.
And keep in mind, you can edit it, right? I'll show you where to go to edit it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to keep talking. You guys do what you're doing, because I'm going to go back a few slides. I keep telling you guys you can edit it. Let me show you where. Remember when we click new email message? Underneath that are all your autoresponder messages. Now, these are default settings, okay? Your new email that you created will be part of this list now. So if you look, actually mine isn't in there because again it was just a screenshot, but what your new email auto-response titled lead auto-response will then be part of this list, which you can then on the right select an action, view, edit, or delete. Okay, so right here. Okay.
So are we just saving and closing it?
Yeah, just save and close it, that's fine. So again, your new email will be part of this list. All you gotta do going forward is find it by looking up lead auto response, it will be part of this list, and then you can view it, edit it, or delete it. Now those are just default ones that you can change. You don't even have to use them. All right. Yes, hi.
Show you, I know it should be the address that you're asking about. Is there a link to the address?
There should be a link, yeah. So again, if you,
So you know what you're calling them on?
wasn't there one there? I thought I saw one. So here,
It just has the address, it doesn't have the link to the.
oh yeah, no, it won't.
So you'd have to find it.
You'd have to find, yeah, but, and again, how you manage it, that's totally up to you. For me, I would just accept. And let's say for whatever reason, the system goes wonky and I accepted a lead that's in Hamilton, right? Then I would just I would just refer that to an agent in Hamilton that I know, and pay 25%. Yes. Yep. Sorry, right there. Go to autoresponder. Yep, do that, and over here, select default autoresponder. Yep, just put thank you for your interest in the property.
The last one. Yeah, the signature on the date you said, put on some attachment.
Pardon me?
Signature line? Because you just had, thanks for getting a hold of me, but you didn't put your picture, your little banner at the bottom.
Oh, here, here, right, in the text. That's because your default autoresponder, your trailer will be pulled from your email signature. So if you go preview, if you click preview, there's your preview. So click preview. Preview's to the right of that third field at the top. So we're going to set up your email signature in a second, okay? But again, just wanted to. Yes, all you have to do now is press. Okay, and then just click save and close. Or if you want, just go down. No, scroll down.
You gotta go back into your letter.
You did? Like you see? So we gotta get close. Or won't let you? Send me an email and figure it out. Okay. Now, save and close and we'll move on. Okay? Yep. Okay, so we go to here. Go to lead auto response. Yeah. Edit. Yeah. And then preview. Okay, no problem. All right, so now moving on, okay? I showed you guys this as a serious fact earlier on. I know I showed this to you before, but again, now I just want to start talking about the importance of follow-up and why it is important that you remain in constant contact with people that are in your database, whether they are current clients, existing clients, past clients, referral clients, but at the same time, anyone that becomes new to your database, people that you met through referrals, it means that you need to spend some time in finding ways to systemically reach out to them and be top of mind. So notice here it says 80% of the sales are made between the 5th and the 12th contact. Most of us will, maybe if we're lucky and brave enough, we'll reach out to someone 3 times. And then we'll give up. And we give up because the 4th, we feel if we keep reaching out to them, they're going to get sick of us, or we're offending them. Okay? It's not necessarily the case. So what we're going to do now is speak about the CRM tool in Leadstreet and why, again, it's important that whether it's Leadstreet or Exact or Top Producer or Contactually, I don't care which one you use. I just personally feel that if you use one, you're that much closer to having a more efficient business. So in the case of Leadstreet, it's a free CRM tool that you guys already have. And when I say free, it's not any more money than what you're paying. It's at your fingertips. If you don't have a CRM tool, please use this one. When we discovered we were getting one, I got really excited and I wanted to make sure it did at least the minimum of what I would expect a CRM tool to do for me. And I'm happy to say that it does. So if I wasn't using my CRM tool, I would be very happy with this one. And again, it wouldn't cost me anything more. So what I want you to do now is, again, hamburger menu and go to Leads and Contact and click Contact Manager. And that's going to open up this screen. And you're going to see a big red Add New. So adding new is just adding a new contact. So if you can do me a favor and just put in yourself. Put your name, okay, and your phone number and your email. Is it frozen? Try refreshing your screen. That's fine. Yeah, so what you can do is you can go back to that's Black Record. And then if you scroll, you'll see what you just gave. All right, so do me a favor and then add yourself as a contact. Because what we want to do is I'm going to show you a few things.
How do I get out of here?
Okay, click the Remax sign. So some of you guys may see the Remax in the app and not the hamburger menu. If you click Remax, it's the same as clicking the Leadstreet icon. Go to Yeah, go to contact manager. Click on that. So now you're in contact manager,
Okay.
okay? And you see the big red add new, please just click that, and then you're gonna be taken to this page, add yourself. So, first name, last name, your email, okay? That's all we need you to put in right now. First name, last name, email. And then, here's where I get really geeky about this whole thing. If you click show more information, right there. So, okay, so go to here. There. Or the other thing is, if you guys ever see apps, apps is like exploding out all the different sections you can get to, right? And then go to the hamburger menu, leads and contacts management. And then click add. Now, and then just add yourself, first name, last name, email. And then, when you click show more information, you're going to see this window where you can add additional information about that client, about yourself. What really gets me excited, and this is where again, my nerd side shows, down here you can categorize your contacts. And this is the first thing I checked when they said you're getting a CRM. First thing I looked for was, can I categorize my contacts? They give you a bunch of default categories. If you don't like those, you can edit them out or you can add new categories. So, what I'm going to show you now is how to add or edit out these categories. Okay? So, if you guys have your menu on the left of the screen, this is your left-hand menu, so go ahead and do that. I'm going to have you, once you've done that, click Setup. Yeah. Yeah, you did. Okay, so.
Manage contact info.
Yeah, just go back to, actually, you know what? Go to Setup. No, get out of there. Go to Setup right there. Okay? If you can get the Setup, okay? What I want to do is take you guys to the Setup option. So on your left, where you see where it says Leads and Contacts, you might see Setup there, or if you don't see that left-hand menu, then just go to the hamburger menu and then find Setup. Okay, but I want you guys to click Setup here. Okay. Now, when you click Setup, you're going to end up on, well, the Setup page, which we're going to spend some time talking about. But for now, what I want you to do is I want you to scroll down to where it says Manage Contact Categories. So it's just a matter of you scrolling down a little bit till you see this. And that's a whole bunch of, so go to Setup, there. And then just scroll down till you see that. Where are you on?
Water skis.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so if you scroll down to where it says Manage Contact Categories, you scroll down. You see that there's a category, a pencil, and a trash bin. The first thing I want you guys to do is look at those categories and first see if those categories make sense to you. I'm going to give you an example. And again, this is just my real life thought process. And I want to give you guys this secret about myself. I'm very lazy. Okay? I'm one of the laziest people you're ever going to meet in your life. And I'm not kidding about that. So when I look at all of these categories, the first thing I want to do is make sure they mean something to me before I start creating new categories. So what I used to coach is, if there are 10 categories and they mean nothing, and 8 of them mean nothing to you, don't leave them there and create new ones. Get rid of them or edit them out. So I'll give you an example. The other category that you see up on the screen, I never have an other category. Just me personally. You might have one. I would take the pencil and edit that out to be something else first. So what you're doing is, you're creating categories that matter. If you left those there, then you've got all these categories that become a mess. Okay? It doesn't become efficient anymore. So I would edit out the other category, and now I've already got a buyer A, but if you want to do that, edit out other to be buyer A. and then have one that says buyer B. Buyer A shows urgency. Buyer B shows, well, they're tire kicking right now. So if you ever want to communicate to your 3 or 4 buyer A's in one email, because mortgage rates have gone down, you can select just buyer A as a category and send that off to all those people. So I've got categories like investor A, investor B, again, sense of urgency, seller A, seller B, sense of urgency. I also have categories that I created called allergic to nuts, photography, foodies, okay? I coach a lot of hockey and baseball, so I've got tons of different categories around those two sports. But I'll give you a really good example of what I've done and I continue to do. So I'm not trading anymore, but I still use my CRM to do these things. I could care less at one point if you were allergic to nuts or if your kids were. It meant nothing to me. Until I discovered my kid, my 16-year-old, we discovered when he was 8 that he's allergic to nuts. So I started paying more and more attention to this. The EpiPen, the recalls, the nut allergy treatments, this and that, all. So all of a sudden it matters to me. Now whenever I talk to someone and their kid or they themselves are allergic to nuts, I make them part of that category. So whenever I read up on a treatment or again a recall on the EpiPen, I've got about 30 people in that category where I'll copy and paste the link, go to Max Center, right? Create a custom URL, paste it into an email, go up to the recipient line, I'll show you where that is in a second, click it, select allergic to nuts, select all, and then it just goes out to all those people. 40 people, one shot, done. That's communicating with them strategically so that you're maintaining your worth. People say, yeah, but John, why don't you just post that on Facebook so it goes to everybody? Or why don't you email it to everybody? Because you're devaluing your worth. Because there's tons of people who can care less that it's a nut allergy email or info, link, right? I can prove this to you. How many people in your social media do you know where at one point when they posted something, you clicked on it to see what it was? Now they post something and you care less what it is. Am I right? Anyone? Because that person devalued their worth. Please don't devalue your worth. Having a CRM where you can categorize people and send them valuable information just to them will maintain your worth to the other people because you're not wasting their time. So I get really excited about this because even though it takes a little time, effort, and money meaning your time, of course, you're now creating a system where you can strategically connect with people, and it doesn't always have to be about real estate. Again, I've got categories about photography and foodies because I like restaurants. So if I find a restaurant I like, I'll just send that email out to the people who are in the restaurant category. Right? It's not always about real estate. It doesn't always have to be. So this is how you categorize your contacts. It takes a little while, but once it's there, I guarantee you your life becomes so much easier. Now, okay, so moving on. If you want to create a new category, at the bottom left, you'll see add new category. Just create a new one and then click save. Okay. So your hobbies, the things that you share with, you like wine, you like food, you volunteer, whatever it is, and you can put people in that category.
Business contacts or,
Yeah.
Past client.
Past client. Yeah, so this isn't my real one, by the way. This is just what I've got in Leadstreet. I actually don't use Leadstreet. I use Exact Contact personally. And again, I'm not married to them. I just use them. So, but my real CRM tool has about 30 different custom categories. Okay. All right, so questions, comments, remarks about this? Yep, Ian.
Can you have them in 2 or 3 categories?
Oh, yes. So Ian might be in my foodie category. He might be in my photography category. He might be in my allergic to nuts category. So whatever the article is, I just select the category, and anyone who's in there will get that email. Okay? So again, I'm an amateur photographer, so I like to talk about lenses and cameras. So if I find a really good article about a new camera, like mirrorless is a big thing right now, right? So what I'll do is I'll find the article, and I just want to send it to the 20 people who are in my photography category. I'll just send it to them. Okay? You guys won't get it because photography means nothing to you. But the people who it matters to, they're going to get valuable information from me, and they know I'm a real estate agent. They know that. I'm just finding another way to connect with them. Okay. All right, moving on. Here's where it gets a little tricky. Okay? The multiple contacts. So instead of me going through all these slides, which I'm about to show you, okay, I'm going to show it to you live. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the back and show you guys on the screen how this works. So the first thing you guys are going to do, okay, is you're going to, as a matter of fact, I probably should have shown this first. Oh, hold up. Okay, so first thing I want to show you is if you go into setup, you can do this right now. So if you go into setup, so we were in setup already. Actually, you're already in setup, aren't you?
Yes.
Just scroll up till you see import contacts. Because you guys can do this first part. Yeah, there.
Okay, there it is.
So once you get to import contacts, yeah, they're right there. Okay, you're going to see, you can scroll up just a little bit because there's 6 steps. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 99.9% of you, if not 100% of you, are going to go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 6. Okay? The only people who are going to use step 4 are the people like me who already have a database where it's really, really categorized. Is anyone in that boat? Because if you are, there's some added steps, but it just, again, it takes a little longer, but it makes your life a little easier going forward. If you're not in that boat, it's 1, 2, 3, 6. So the first thing you guys can do, if you're following along on your phone, you can't do this. It might not work on your iPad, but for those of you who are on a laptop, step 1 is simple. You're going to download the CSV template. So it says, what does it say? Something about your sample CSV. Click on that and download that template. And if you're using a Mac, you got to have Excel, like the full version of Excel. This will work on numbers and all that other stuff, but download that template, and once it's downloaded, okay,
I've never used it for the full time.
look that up. Your CSV template looks like this on the screen. Now, this template cannot be edited in any way, shape, or form. What I mean by that is, you see column H, it says zip. We don't use words like zip, do we? Use postal code. Don't change it to postal code. You know exactly what it is, postal code. Column N is fax. If you say, John, I don't have a single fax number, don't delete the column. Just leave it alone. Okay? So, once you've downloaded this, your next step is you have to go to the source of where your data is. So, are you using Exact? Are you using Top Producer? Are you using Gmail? Are you using Outlook? Are you using Hotmail? Wherever the source is, Brian, well, the feeds, whatever the source of your data is, you've got to go there and you've got to export that data into what's called a CSV file. Have I lost anybody? Okay. Now, who here has actually done this?
I have,
Okay.
but the problem
Yeah.
with it is some of the categories and fields that come up don't match.
I know. Okay.
Hours to get it.
Well, I'll show you an easy way to do this, but thank you for letting me know that some people have done this. But I'm going to show you my thought process on how I would do this. Now, I've helped like 24 people through this. I don't know every data source. I don't know every CRM tool. So someone will say to me, yeah, but John, I'm using Karen's CRM tool systems. I don't know. So I'll say, here's what you do. YouTube, and I'm being very serious, because YouTube is like the greatest thing in the world. I fixed my snowblower because a guy had the same snowblower on YouTube, step by step, done. Now, just search how to export CSV file from Karen's whatever, right? And a 2-minute video shows up. You just follow that step. But the key now is to get the data out of that source to what's called a CSV file. From that point, okay, I'll show you what you have to do. Okay? You have to get rid of what's called special characters. And keep in mind, all of this is repeated on that webinar starting on minute 26. Okay? So, it's all in Remax University. So, again, I have my data source here. This is exported out of Exact Contact. And what's the young lady's name over here?
Jen.
Jen. Like Jen said, there's tons of categories. So just like Jen, what I want to do is I want to minimize my raw data. So ignore the fact that these are color-coded columns. They're color-coded for a reason. The blue are the fields that mean absolutely nothing to me. So if I know that this is my CSV template, and I know that these are the categories, these are the headings, this raw data, and I can just delete all this blue stuff because it means nothing to me. And all I'm trying to do now is I'm just trying to make the raw data an easier file to view. That's all I'm doing. Okay, so I didn't delete every column that means nothing, but I'm just giving you my thought process. Now, what you have to do is you have to get rid of what's called special characters. So the reason why these columns are highlighted in yellow is because these are the phone number columns that you have to remove the brackets, the dots, the spaces, and the dashes. Okay, so saying it out loud seems really complicated, but let me show you how you do this. So whether you're on a Mac or on a PC, you're going to go to, first of all, actually highlight all the columns so that you do this once. And then you're going to go to either Find or Edit, and then you're going to find the Find option. And you'll go Find, and it'll say Find what? Open bracket. Replace. Replace with what? Nothing. You're literally just going to delete the open brackets. So now you click Replace All. And it tells you how many instances of an open bracket to replace. Click OK. And now all you got to do from here is all the special characters you can think of, type it in. Close bracket. Replace all.
One at a time?
One at a time, yeah. Period. Replace all. Dash. Typically anything you would see in a phone number column. And then one more is space. And then you're done. So just close this. Now, you see all the phone number columns? They're just phone numbers now. See that? There's no special characters. So once you've done that, okay, what you have to do now is, because again, just like Jen said, there's a bunch of categories here. What I can do, to be very honest with you, here's my CSV sample template. I can try and take all of these categories and reorganize these headings so that they match this. But in the 24 times I've done that, I can tell you that's more time consuming than just cutting and pasting the columns. So here's what you're going to do. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint presentation. And the easiest way now to take your raw data and put it into here is to, and again, all of this is what I just did live, is to split your screen if you can. Again, I'm a Mac guy. I can do this. I don't know if you can do this on Windows. If you can't do this on Windows, then it's just a matter of knowing which file is open. But for me, I would just put my raw data on the left, my template on the right, and I would copy and paste into the template. That's it. Okay. That's the easiest way. You can try and reorganize it, but I think, Jen, that's what you tried to do.
Yeah.
It's just too long. I would just copy and paste. Right? Now, people say, do I have to copy every single field? No. What you need as a minimum is the name, first name, last name, and email address. Okay? They're going to say phone number, but here's the thing. If you have an address associated with your data, with your contact, you know those monthly newsletters we're about to talk about in maybe 15 minutes? If it senses or sees that there's an address associated with who's getting this monthly newsletter, the last page of that monthly newsletter are the listings that show up within a 5-mile radius of that person's home, which is really cool. It's all the listings that show, it's a 5-mile radius of listings of that person's home, which is kind of cool. If that person doesn't have an address associated, they get the newsletter, they don't get that last page. Okay? So it's up to you. Okay? If I'm cutting and pasting, it takes two seconds to take one extra column and put it over. Okay? So I would just put everything in. Now, here's the other question that I get. Well, John, I'm already using Exact or Top Producer or Brian Buffini or whatever. Why do I have to do this? We're going to talk about what's called a connected lead. where, let's say for whatever reason, Mary, right? Mary and I, we've drifted apart over the last 10 years. Last time we saw each other was in university, right? 10 years ago. So, we're gonna go with that, okay? So, yeah, I've got a 19-year-old. You guys all know how old I am. So, if we drifted apart, and I all of a sudden am on remax.ca, and I trigger a lead, if my email matches what Mary has in her Leadstreet database, even though we haven't spoken in 10 years, she basically claims dibs on my queries because Leadstreet matches my email to her. She gets my lead. So what you're doing is you're creating an opportunity for potential database connection leads. You don't have to use all the CRM tools that are in here if you're using something else, but at least import all your data so that you run that chance of getting that potential lead.
Okay, so Mary would be,
She's the agent.
potential, she's
She's the agent, yeah.
Okay. Okay, sorry, and
I'm not
you're,
agent anymore.
okay, and you would be a potential buyer.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So I'm on remax.ca, I've registered on an account, and then I click ask a question. And again, we're gonna go through the lead protocol in a second, but should it follow that protocol and it not hit any of those things up front, and then I end up in Mary's inbox as a lead, she claims me, there we go. Okay? It's a database connection. So again, when we were hosting these webinars back in September, we were begging people to get their data uploaded because if Mary has me in her, or I'm sorry, uploaded as soon as possible, because if Mary has me in her database, okay, and Ian has me in his database, and I trigger a lead, I go to the first person who put me in the database. So if Mary put me in at 7 p.m., 7 a.m. on the 4th of October, and Ian put me in on the 5th of October, I go to Mary. It's timestamp. Okay. So this is how you upload, this is how you prep your CSV file for upload. Now, we've already done step one. Step one is download the CSV template. Step two now is selecting the type of file, which if you click this drop down, just select standard CSV. And then step three is selecting the saved file that you've got in your computer. And then just go to step 6, import. If you're having issues with this, reach out to either me or support at remaxintegra.com. But again, if you want to stay afterwards, I can stay afterwards and help guide you through some of this stuff. If you get to a certain point, here's the other thing that I can offer you, and you can do whatever you want with this information. If you get to a certain point of getting your CSV files and having an issue with uploading it, if you want to send me the file, I'll upload it into your account for you. Okay? I can do that. All right. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to say it's read 8 records and then imported 8 records. That's because I cheated. I know exactly how to set up the cells. But for you, you might read, it might say read 50 files, uploaded 37. That means 13 cells were corrupted. Just go back and look to see where you might need to fix the 13 cells, and then do it again. And what it'll do is it won't duplicate what went in the first time, it just looks for the records that aren't in there now. You know what I mean? Okay? Yep. Sorry, yes? As long as it's first name but no last name, that's fine. It can be john@gmail.com. Is that what you're talking about?
So I don't have the last name for it.
Yeah. It will. It will. Yeah. It'll be fine. Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about once you have your data in the Leadstreet platform, you can search for data really, really simply. Click search. I just type in the first name and it gives me all the people who've got that as first name. You can search by email address, you can search by category. So there's a lot of flexibility here. And then again, you can even sort this however way you want to sort it. So first name, last name, again, A to Z, Z to A, activity, date of activity, added date. So there again, a lot of flexibility, okay? So now that all your data is in there, what you can do is you can now start setting up email drip campaigns and marketing campaigns like the monthly newsletter, for example. So what we can do now, you want, go into please email marketing, and let me just show you okay, where you can send emails. So go to email marketing, and then go to send email. Open that up. And here's where I spend a lot of my time reaching out to my database. So exact contact isn't that much different than this. Categories are still there. But look at the email address where it says send message from. That should be your email address, am I right? Okay. Look to the right where it says select recipients. That's where all the categories show up. So again, I don't want to type in 30 different email addresses when I send out an allergic to nut email or update. I want to just click one or two buttons. So it all stems from there. Scroll down and you'll see again message subject and type in your text. You can send out an email from here. It's not an email client, so it won't store all your sent emails. So CC yourself. Now, if you click campaigns, so again, look to your left and we're sending email, go to campaigns. Here's homework number 3 for you guys. And again, this is stuff that I would be doing if I were actively practicing. I want to share it with you because I want to make you, hopefully give you ideas on how to make life easy. So what you're going to do is, on this page, you'll see at the bottom, it's page 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 pages of drip campaigns. However, if you look at the first one, or the first 2, it's first-time buyer single and first-time buyer team. So if you're a single agent, I don't mean like not married, but I mean if you're just one agent, it uses words like I and me. But team campaigns use words like us and we, right? So what I would do if I were you is I would look at these campaigns and find ones that matter to you most. If, again, I were still practicing today, I know for a fact that my database, 66% of my database are empty nesters. How do I know that? Because I mine the hell out of my database. I look there first for business and I go anywhere else. So at the bottom it says empty nester buyer. That would mean something to me. So I would open that up and I would look at it and I would edit it if I wanted to, because you can edit these. And I would know that if I ever needed to use this campaign, I know exactly what it says, I know the types of emails they're going to get, and I know when they're going to be sent. So look at these campaigns and see what matters to you most. You don't need to know all of them, just the ones that matter to you. Now, if you go forward, okay, here's what I mean by I want you to look at these and get comfortable with certain ones. You can even edit them. To the right, it says select an action, view or edit. You can edit these campaigns out. If you click on one, as a matter of fact, it tells you exactly when those emails are going to go out. 1 week after start date, 2 weeks after start date, 3 weeks after start date. But let's say for whatever reason, again, I'm going to pick on Mary just because you're there. Mary is now a buyer, okay, and I'm the agent. Mary and I could be sitting somewhere, bar or coffee shop. Bar. Coffee shop. I just want to get into someone's head like that and see where they really want to go with this. So we're at a coffee shop, right? And Mary and I are just meeting for the first time. And she agrees that she wants to work with me, which is great. So I can do this all on my phone. I can put Mary into my contacts, okay? And then what I can do is I could set her up on a drip campaign for a first-time buyer or for investors or monthly newsletters or whatever, all before we part ways. Okay? So the way this works is I put her into my category, into my contacts, so add new, so Mary goes in here. Then what I do is I open up Mary's contact card. Okay? So again, just pay attention, you don't have to do this now. And then in her contact card, it says activity timeline, manage contact info, where I can update her address and all that stuff. But below that, there's a drawer called campaigns. When I open up that drawer, I just have to toggle on a switch of whatever campaign I want to put Mary on. The reason why I want you guys to be familiar with the campaigns is because you can't preview them here. You've already previewed them. So because I know that she's a first-time buyer, and I've edited that first-time buyer campaign to be what I want it to be, I can comfortably just select yes. Mary wants to invest in a property, so again, buyer, investor, single, put her on yes. And once she toggles on to yes, notice at the bottom it automatically says send expiration notice. So once this campaign is about to end for Mary, I get notified of that and I can reach out to Mary and say, how would you like that campaign? What do you want to do? Blah, blah, blah. It's a follow-up. But I can do all that on my phone. Okay? There are paid CRM tools where it's not as mobile friendly.
Is that through an app or is that?
No, it's all just through
web?
Leadstreet. Launchpad. So just I put Launchpad on here as an icon. So I just have to click it and then access it and then just go into Leadstreet. So it's all there. So again, it's all about efficiency. So I don't have to wait till I get home. I can put all this. I can do all this for Mary there at the coffee shop. Yeah.
Can you do it from your computer though too?
Absolutely. You can do it from your computer, from your iPad, from your phone. So you can do it from wherever. So I'm using my phone as an example because I always have my phone with me.
Right.
There are times where I don't have my iPad or my Mac with me, but I walk out of my house with my phone before I walk out with my wallet. So I always have my phone. So that's an example of how this can be very efficient for you. Now, moving on from all that, just a couple of things I want to highlight. I'm not going to spend too much time on these next few things. Just want to highlight that you can set up a buyer profile. So again, we're in leads and contacts right now. So if you're not in leads and contacts already, then go to the hamburger menu, select leads and contacts, and go to buyer profiles. And what you can do, and I'm just going to speak through this while you're looking at it now, is you can create a buyer profile for somebody within their contacts. So I would just have to open up Mary's contacts, go to, again, here, you see the address, you see the drawer that says buyer profile? It'll open up this window, and I can add Mary's buyer profile in here. And whenever a listing shows up on remax.ca, Mary will become notified of that listing. Now, having said that, I know that your board probably provides you with a tool for this, like a prospect search. So only because I was part of the Toronto Real Estate Board, I just know what those tools are. So again, other than that, I just want to highlight a few things. I know that the board offers Prospect Match. They offer another version of Prospect Match within the BRS. They offer Collaborate, right? And then all of a sudden, Remax is telling me I have this. The tools are there to do what you want. You don't have to use all of them, right? But if you're presenting this option to your buyers, you're increasing your value-added proposition. You don't have to use it. Use whatever your board's giving you. That's totally fine. But if you don't, here's another option. Okay? Tasks, again, this is also part of leads and contacts. If you scroll down, you'll see tasks. You can set up tasks for yourself. Again, this is just a tool that's there for you. If you're in your CRM regularly, like I know a lot of people are, I was regularly in my CRM. And I had a good conversation about it at lunch. So I would probably utilize tasks, but most of us will write your to-do in a notebook, which is totally fine as well. I get the satisfaction of crossing out something that you've done, right, or putting a check mark. But you can do that here if you want. Again, the tool is there for you to use. There's also an advanced version of tasks where if you've got stakeholders, where you're working on bigger projects, you can upload documents and things like that. I really don't see that being used too much, to be honest with you. But I do see people like myself using the general tasks. Okay. And all of this, by the way, shows up on your agent dashboard. Pardon me, I'm sorry. So if you scroll down, you'll see the tasks that you have to do. Okay. And then when it's due, when it's completed, all that other good stuff. Moving on, let's go to email signature. Okay, so here we're going to spend a little bit of time. Go to the hamburger menu and select email marketing. Now, if you don't see the hamburger menu, keep in mind again, you're going to see Remax and then apps, drop down arrow. Click on that and you'll also see the options. It's basically taking the hamburger menu and all the subsections and exploding it out. That's what the apps version of all of this looks like. Okay. So when you get to email marketing, go to preferences, and then here is where you can edit your email address, or your email trailer, sorry, my mistake. Email trailer, email signature. The one thing I don't believe it does, I'm going to come over here because I think I might be right, it may not have your designations.
No, it doesn't.
So, okay, go to preferences.
Mine does.
So what you want to do is you want to make sure your designation is there because that meets RICO requirements. So make sure underneath your name, You either have broker or salesperson, real estate salesperson, sales representative. There's 6 of them you can choose from. Those are the 3 or 4 I know. Okay, so take some time to do that now, because I want to make sure that no one gets burned by Rico. Is it? Yeah.
Is there a note section
Oh,
under each contact?
yes, there is.
Yeah.
I'm going to show that to you in a second, okay? Because I do, pardon me?
Mail merge?
No, not really.
I think you want to do Christmas.
Yeah, there's no mail merge here. No, and that's why I wouldn't give out my exact, because I couldn't mail merge. Oh, it's still, wow, it's a little slow. Yeah. Yeah, that's why and I'm going to keep looking over here. I just want to, there you go. So make sure again, just put a space between your name and whatever that is. And then just put in your designation, okay? So just do that right now. Now, this email signature, like I said before, once you save it, that's the bottom right, it's going to be pulled and added to all those things that you send out. So make sure it's a nice one.
Can we use the one that we use on regular email?
No, just take the one using your regular email and put it here.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. All you have to do is make sure that you're following RICO guidelines. So your name, your
Yes.
designation, and then, I mean, your brokerage. You don't have,
So I would do this, so I get rid of all this stuff?
yeah, and then just paste your other one there. All right, yep.
Where do you edit, where your email's coming from? Because right now mine's coming from ianwoods@remax.net. I don't want that. I want my own email.
Yeah, so go back to the welcome page, change out your email from there. I'll show you how to do it before we leave today.
Okay.
Okay, that's where, remember the first welcome page?
Yeah.
Yeah, your email shows remax.net, so you need to edit that out. We'll do that before you leave.
Okay, good.
All right, so, no, don't follow this example up on here. This is an example of what not to do. So just put, yeah, there you go. Sales representative, you're good. So now just click save if you're happy with what it is. And let's move on to, break it, the monthly newsletter. Now the monthly newsletter, most people when they have a CRM, and I'm not going to ask who's doing this because I don't want to embarrass anyone, but most people buy a CRM, they pay $60 or $50 or $60 a month, and all they do is subscribe to a monthly newsletter. That hurts me to hear because there's so much in here that you can be doing to improve your business. If that is all you're doing, then I'll be very honest with you, you don't need to be paying $50 a month if that's all you're doing. But if you're using the Top Producer financial tracking tool, if you're using the flexibility of one-touch sync with Contactually, and if you're using the back-end analytics of an exact contact to see who opened up your emails, if you're using all those things, then keep them. Keep those CRM tools. Like I would never get rid of mine because I use the tools. But if you're not using them, then this Leadstreet CRM is really all you need. Because you can set up your monthly newsletters here. So, if you go to, again, email marketing, so we were already at send email campaigns, message library cards. The last one is monthly newsletter. Open up monthly newsletter and you're going to end up on this page. Notice the first toggle switch is send notification for newsletters. That says yes. What that means is, whenever the new newsletter is ready to go, it's going to send it to you so you can preview it. And you can even edit it if you want. Below it, it says automatically enroll all new leads. Now, I'm going to just say that there's something called Castle. Do you guys know it? I've been teaching this since 2014. Boring stuff. But it gets the brokerage is fine. Well, it could, has the potential to. Please don't toggle that to yes, because you need to get what's called express consent before you can send out business emails to anyone. I teach a FinTrack course along with Castle, privacy legislation, and what's the other very boring one? Privacy, no, do not call legislation. But those are the things that get brokerages fined. So I would leave that to no, and I would just send it to the people who've given me express consent. So how do I know that? Well, I'm going to go back a few slides to here. Notice this is someone's contact card. So activity timeline, manage contact info, again, is where I can go and update their address. Buyer profile we talked about, campaigns we talked about. Notice the notes field at the bottom. So let's pretend, if you will, that this belongs to Mary. This is going back to my Mary example, where we're at the coffee shop. I'm gonna do a number of things with Mary while we're at the coffee shop. One is put her in here, put her on my drip campaign, but the other thing is, Mary, listen, you know what? Yes, I'm gonna be sending you my drip campaigns, but at the same time, I wanna send you some additional information. My monthly newsletter, for example, has great content information in it. Are you okay with me sending that to you? She's gonna say, yeah, John, absolutely, send me whatever you want. In the notes section, I'm gonna put EC January 25th? 4th, 2019. Expressed consent, EC, and then the date. Period, that's it. People have said to me, yeah, but John, wouldn't you get her to email you consent because it's proven? Like, you do whatever you want. However way you get express consent, that's up to you. There's tons of ways you can do it. Okay? But I would just put that. And that's my notes section. But there's going to be other notes in there. Mary's allergic to nuts. Mary likes photography. All those other things, right? Things that I've discovered with Mary. As we go on, I'll just keep updating that note section. So, that's where I would make sure I get my express consent. And then, of course, I can make sure she also gets my monthly newsletter. Okay? Now, here's an example of the monthly newsletter. This is an older one. You can preview this. So, as a matter of fact, if you, again, scroll down, you can preview the newest monthly newsletter. Okay? And like I said, if there's an address associated with your contact, they'll get a 4th page that just shows the listings that are within a 5-mile radius of their home. All right. Questions? We had the schedule, so this is pretty good. All listings. Yeah.
John? If you're sending out emails to a group and you have express consent for 90% of that particular category, that group, but you don't have express consent for the other 5, is there a way to filter those out, or do you have to literally cherry pick each one?
Yeah, so when you go to select recipient, you're going to click category. Okay? And let's just assume it's my, my photography category. We've got about 15 or 20 people in there. And I've got express consent from 15 of the 20. I'm going to click select all, and then go to the 5, and then uncheck them individually. You know what I mean? Because what will happen is, it'll open up my photography list, and there's going to be all the people who are in there, 20 people, and then I'm going to say select all, and then check mark goes to all those names. But I've got 5 that don't give me express consent. I know who they are, so I'll just uncheck those people.
So you're keeping track of the ones who you don't have express consent of yourself and having unchecked them. There's no checkbox or something on the software that just won't forward it out to them.
Yeah, that's here. So that's what this is, where it says automatically. Oh no, you're talking about something more specific. No. What you would need is you would need to again just look at who those people are that don't give you express consent, and you can remove it. But I'll give you an example of what you're asking. Okay, so. If I have a category of, let's say, photography, right, then I would have had that conversation with you already, and I would say, listen, I'm an amateur photographer. I love sending out email and content about lenses and cameras and sites. Are you good with that? And if you're an amateur photographer as well, and we're friendly with each other, then you'd probably say, yeah, sure, not a problem. So I've never really had an issue with my groups where I just send out that content. It's really the business stuff like the monthly newsletter and the drip campaigns that you'd have an issue with. If it's outside of business, like if it's a personal email, then that you don't have an issue with. Does that answer your question?
But you still have to keep track of it yourself. I mean, there's no way that you can't send out a newsletter and have the software see that you haven't checked off express consent, so it's not going to forward it automatically to them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You'd have to keep track of your business emails. Right, like you're saying, okay? But the personal ones, if it's personal, it doesn't fall into Castle.
Right.
The personal ones are okay. Yep.
You could probably create another category, and one could be ones with consent, without, and then depending on what you want to send, you could just hit both categories.
Yes, you can do that.
An issue.
Again, that category thing is unlimited. That's a good idea, right? If you can manage it that way. Again, there's tons of ways you can manage it, right? So it's up to you and your business. I mean, that's a really good idea, right? Create those categories. All right, so moving on. Talking about lead routing, we've already talked about remax.ca. I just want to talk to you about how leads actually get routed. So the first thing I want to do is explain to you the lead logic. And the first thing is direct leads. Okay? I don't talk about office leads because there's not really enough office leads to make anyone's world go up or down. But direct leads is what people do because people, they don't look for offices on Google, they look for you. They look for people's names. So if they were to Google you, or if they were to find you on remax.ca, and they end up on your remax.ca profile page, should they look at this and say, I want to ask Tracy a question, and they click ask a question, that's what's called a direct lead. I'm a consumer looking directly at Tracy's profile page, and I want to ask a question. I know exactly who it is I'm trying to reach. The second thing is a favorited lead. So I'm going to use Mary again as an example because we're sitting at a coffee shop. So I mentioned there's a number of things I'm going to be doing with Mary. I've got this process in my head that I follow. And I say to Mary, listen Mary, I know that you're going to be on the internet looking for properties. I get that. Everyone is. You're also going to be on remax.ca. So let's do this. So I'm going to grab my phone. I'm going to go on to remax.ca and go register. I'm going to give my phone to Mary and say, Mary, put your email and a password in here. Of course, it's all your account. We're just doing it on here. We can sign out later. But put your sign up for a remax.ca account right now. So she does that. Then I'm going to take the phone back and look for myself on remax.ca. Find my profile and say, Mary, do me a favor. Favorite me on remax.ca. This way, whenever you query a property, the lead or that query comes to me directly. You don't have to worry about it going to anyone else. I'll respond to you right away. So Mary then clicks that heart and favorites me as her agent. That's the second lead priority. First is direct, then it's favorited agents. That whole process of me registering Mary on remax.ca and having her favorite me, I did it with somebody and a client, like I was kind of shadowing them, less than 4 minutes. It's quick. And Mary's going to say, yeah, you're right, I am going to be on remax.ca, and yeah, I want to be efficient about it, so yeah, let's do this. Very rarely will anyone say no, okay? And if they do, then they say no, okay? But if you present it that way, they probably won't. Next is a connected lead. So the connected lead is this. Remember that database connection I told you about? That's one way a lead can be connected to you. Here's the other way a lead can be connected to me, okay? So I'm an agent, and I'm going to pick on someone else now, sorry. Sylvia. Okay, you're off the hook, Mary. It's all Sylvia now. Pardon me?
She go to the bar.
I'm just looking for someone to go to the bar. So Mary and I, okay, Mary is on remax.ca, and she triggers a lead. And it's not a direct lead, it's not a favorited lead, it's not a Remax agent listings lead, and it's following the lead logic protocol, and it ends up with me because she triggered a query on a competitor's listing. Mary and I are now connected, but how did we end up with this connection? What was the source of this connection? It was Remax.ca, right? So you're not in my database. You're now connected to me because Remax.ca introduced us. Now, as long as Mary follows through on certain criteria, every time she triggers a lead, I will owe Sylvia, sorry. What did I call her? Oh, okay. We were already in the water. There we go. Now, whenever Sylvia triggers a lead, as long as she follows her requirements, I will always get that lead. Now, that's the Remax.ca connection. The final one is property queries, which is exactly what I just explained to you, where Sylvia had triggered a lead on a competitor's listing. Okay, either through the contact an agent or through this question box here. Okay, and then of course here is a summary of the lead logic priority sequence. But I want to show you how this happens in real life. So in real life, when someone triggers a lead, how does this lead logic priority really work? So this next slide is not as intimidating as it looks. It's really easy to explain. So Sylvia triggers a lead. Sylvia, right?
Yeah.
Now, the question the system asks itself first is it a direct lead or a favorite lead? And if it is, it goes to those agents. Direct is first, favorite is second. Now remember, Mary favorited me, so every time she triggers a lead, it comes to me. Okay? Now, if it's not either one of those, the system asks itself, is it a connected lead? And if it is a connected lead, it asks itself a part B question. What's the lead source? And remember I told you there's two? There's the database connection, which again, that was the whole Mary and I example from the beginning. Or is it the Remax.ca connection, which is the Sylvia and I connection? Now, if it's a database connection, it'll always come to me. But again, it's got to bypass the top question first. If it's a Remax.ca connection, like Sylvia and I told you, she has to fulfill certain requirements for me to continue to get those leads. She has to trigger activity within 60 days. So if she triggers activity within 60 days all the time, I will always get her leads. But let's say Sylvia says, you know what, I'm going to go to Hawaii for 3 months.
Well, hard to get. I'm hard to get.
And she comes back in that 3rd month and she triggers a lead. Well, it wasn't within 60 days. So she goes back into cyberspace and it kicks into somebody else. Okay? Let me spend some time on this for a second. Because I want to ask you guys, in real life, based on the examples I've given you, would that ever happen to me? No, because she would have been favoriting me as her agent. But here's the other thing I want you guys to do. And I'm going to deny ever telling you to do this, because it's a loophole. But again, because I've lived your life, I cannot stand up here and not tell you this. So I'm just going to blame somebody else. I'm going to blame who? I'm going to blame Mary. Mary told you to do this. Right? So, when Sylvia and I get connected, Remax.ca is that source of the connection. Every time she triggers something within 60 days, Leadstreet sees Sylvia's email in my contacts because Remax.ca put it there through Leadstreet put it there through Remax.ca. You understand? She automatically becomes entry in my contacts, but it's only her email, nothing more. So I would just delete that. And because we've met now, I know more about Sylvia, I'm going to manually put her into my database. Which means she now becomes a full database connection, all right? So this whole 60-day thing wouldn't work for 2 reasons for me. One, because I will either one, put her in manually, or 2, she would favor me as her agent. So I don't worry about this whole 60-day thing, okay? So, if for whatever reason, let's move on, it's not a connected lead, it asks itself, is it a Remax listings agent lead? If it's a Remax listings lead, then it goes to the listing agent exclusively for an hour. Okay? So there's no more trying to fight to get this lead. If it's a Remax listings agent lead, the listing agent gets it and they get it in an hour. So if it's my listing and I see this lead come through, I know that I'm the first person it was offered to because it's my listing and you just went through this whole thing. You know that it goes to you for 1 hour. Following me?
So you need an hour to accept it?
Mhm.
Or, okay.
Automatically?
An hour to accept, decline, or have it move maybe forward.
As long as you're.
An hour. Now, there's business rules, meaning 8 to 5. We're trying to change that to like 8 to 7 or something. But 8 to 5 are the business hours. If I get this listings lead at 7 p.m. at night, as it stands right now, nothing happens until 8 a.m. the next morning. Okay? So if I don't claim the lead within the hour, so let's say that I get the lead at 3 p.m., okay? And I don't claim it within the hour. That means, again, Sylvia now gets added at the 1 hour mark. So now I'm competing against Sylvia. So one other person gets added. If Sylvia and I don't claim it within the 1 hour 15-minute mark, then Mary gets added. Okay? And if we don't claim at the 1 hour 30-minute mark, then Ian gets added. So every 15 minutes someone else gets added, but I'm always in the mix. So here's the example. Remember I told you guys there's consequences to not doing anything with a lead? I'm the original person it was offered to. I know this because it's my listing. Sylvia has no clue she's second in. Mary has no idea she's third in. And Ian has no idea he's fourth in. The only thing they know is a Remax agent is slack on accepting this lead. Because they see the problem, right? So if Ian accepts or claims the lead, then I, as the original, I'm going to explain this, I'm going to say some words you're not going to like, just let me finish before you throw stuff at me, right? I, as the original agent it was offered to, get a strike, right? But you don't get one, you don't get one, he claimed the lead, it's his lead. The original person it was offered to gets a strike. If I get 3 strikes in a row, not total, It has to be 3 strikes in a row where I was the original agent that was offered to, and I ignored the lead. If I get 3 strikes in a row, then I'm going to be pulled out of what's called the DDF pool of leads, the competitors' listings leads. I will always get my listings leads, but I won't get any competitors' leads. How do I know that? Because I'm going to get an email. Because I never know where I stand in the order process unless it's my own listing. I'm going to talk about competitors' listings in a second. So once I get the email that I've been pulled from the DDF pool of leads, DDF is like the competitors' listings, and again, you guys know what DDF is, right? Okay. All I have to do is go back to this page. It was like the second slide that we were on where we put ourselves on, receiving leads. Just put yourself back there. Okay? So it's not like you're going to get flogged in the public square or anything like that. Just put yourself back there. Okay? The only way you're going to know you got 3 strikes in a row, and that's hard to do, by the way, to get 3 in a row, and you're the original person it was offered to, and you ignored it, it's not 3 totals in a row, it's really hard. But if you do get this email, just put yourself back in. Okay? That's all it is. Now, if it's a competitor's listing, instead of the 1 hour, you get 15 minutes. Now, if I were to get a competitor's listings lead, it's competitor's listings lead. I don't know if I'm first in or third in, because it's competitor's listing. All I know is I got a lead. Except, if I don't, then again, every 15 minutes, someone else gets added. Which means you get added at the 30-minute mark, 45-minute mark, and then the hour mark. And nobody knows where they fall, because it's competitor's listing, okay? So, at this point, again, you either accept it, decline it, or have it forwarded. Questions, comments, or remarks?
If you decline,
That's happening.
you're not getting a
Strike, no.
strike, because it's going to the next person.
Yeah, you just
If you
decline it.
can't handle
Yeah.
it and you decline,
Yeah,
you know then it's going to something
yeah,
else.
yeah. So, declining, again, is acting on a lead, accepting is acting on a lead, and having it forwarded is acting on a lead. No.
Yeah.
Oh, no, until you open up the listing. Yeah. Yeah, accept it, and if it's not what you want, refer to someone in your office, refer to someone in. When I was brand new, I told everybody, you get a listing, if you get a lease lead and you don't want it, refer to me. Those are built-in buyers 2 or 3 years later, right? Give me your listing, your lease leads. I'll take it. Okay. But yeah, you don't know until you accept it and you click what that listing is, or what that lead is.
So you said any other leads every 15 minutes? Just listings is an hour and then?
The first hour, and then 15 minutes, and then competitors is 15 minutes from the get-go, every 15 minutes.
Why don't we still see or occasionally see ones that are coming in at 1 in the morning?
Okay, so if it's coming in at 1 in the morning, because someone is actually surfing at 1 in the morning, but nothing happens until 8. So if you get the lead at 1 in the morning, you don't have to compete against anyone until 8 o'clock, right? Because it's off business hours. Okay?
But if you happen to be up at 1.
If you're up, claim it. Yeah. That's because you're up, right? And then you can have a conversation with that person, you're both up at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But, like I said, the business hours right now are 8 to 5, but we're looking to extend that to like 8 to 7. And the reason is because at 6 o'clock, you now know that if you get a lead, let's say it's your own listings lead, because you don't know where you fall in a competitor's listings query, right? Likely you'll probably be first, but you don't really know that. So, if you get a lead at 6 o'clock, and you know you're off hours, you can comfortably say, oh, I don't have to claim that till 9 tonight. What you're doing is you're giving the consumer a very bad experience on remax.ca. So the Ivory Tower, and rightfully so, have said we want a great consumer experience. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we encourage as much competition as possible so that the reaction to that lead is quick, so that the consumer gets responded to right away. But if you know that at 6 o'clock you don't have to do anything, you probably won't, right? Or hopefully you don't. Yeah. But they want to make sure that the consumer has a really good experience. So that's why they want to increase the competition to like 7 o'clock. Now, moving on. The last couple of slides I just want to run through with you. We're really good. We're ahead of schedule. All right. Listing manager. So, do you guys remember the enhanced listing manager, where you go in and you can add an exclusive listing? You can go in and you can beef up your listing on remax.ca. Remember that? That's gone. there was a temporary fix called listing manager, no, exclusive listing manager something. There was a tile. That's gone too. If you want to add an exclusive listing or improve your listing on remax.ca, it all goes through Leadstreet now as the listing manager. So if you can do me a favor and go to the hamburger menu, or if you don't see the hamburger menu, see Remax and apps, click on apps, go to listing and open up listing manager. And you're going to see add new. This is where you're going to go and you're going to add an exclusive listing. You can try this if you want, put your own house up. Everything to the point where you have to actually submit it, okay? But if you want to see what the fields look like, give it a shot. Just don't submit it, okay? I don't have the screenshots for it, but you can again do this until you have to submit. Just don't do that. But with the exclusive listing, you used to have to get a manager's approval, all right? You don't have to anymore with this, it'll just go up. But having said that, again, please make sure everything you're putting up is accurate, because once you put it up on remax.ca, even though it's an exclusive listing, you got the paperwork for it, it's an advertisement for the property. And RICO gets RICO fines more on advertising violations than any other issue. So make sure if you are putting something up, you run it by your broker of record, broker manager, trader, your ops man, whomever, to confirm that everything's okay. Because you no longer have to wait for their approval. Let's not get the brokerage fine. What I like about this though is you can add an expiry date. So based on the market, if you know that your exclusive listing is going to be for 10 days, then have it for 10 days. It comes down on the 10th day, and your MLS listing goes up. So it's like a very short gap, if there's a gap at all. Okay? The only time you ever have to be concerned is if you sell your property in day 5. Then you got to manually take it down. Right? But the exclusive listing is really cool because you can put assignment clauses. Assignment is that they're provided the builder allows you to. Has anyone worked with assignment clauses before or assignment deals before? You got to make sure the builder approves your advertising, right? Like sometimes they won't let you. You for sure can't put it on MLS. I know that.
Yeah, you have to wait.
You got to wait. But again, even still, you got to make sure that the builder approves it. So I've always gotten the builder to agree to, again, what I'm doing when they start allowing advertisements of assignment property. But please make sure you're okay, your builder allows it. But you can put it on here. And if you ever want to beef up your listings on remax.ca, then click on your listing, which will be here in this listing manager section. And then when you click on it, it's going to open up this window with 3 tabs. And I'm going to highlight the tabs that I really like. I'm not going to go through all of them because typically it's just going to pull data, populate with data that's already in the MLS. But as you scroll down, first of all, in the information tab, as you scroll down, there's tabs that say builder name, builder model, and building name. I like this because if you're working on a property that is from an exclusive builder, or that builder has a certain model that everyone wants, like I look at my neighborhood, and there's like 4 models, there's only 4 homes of this one model, and everybody wants it. So if I were a listing agent, and I'm selling one of those properties, I would put that here, okay? Because it highlights that particular property. So I like that. So there's additional information here you can fill in. I know we don't have HOA. HOA is homeowners association fees. It's what we call maintenance fees. If you have any, like if you're working with a condominium, it's really just maintenance fees. So I'm going to go to details now. If you go to details, you can add additional details. But this, again, as you scroll down, you've got fields for schools, which I like. I got asked about schools all the time. So I know that it's in my remarks section, but what I've discovered is people don't read them anymore. What people want is quick, easy access to information. What I thought to be the greatest thing in the world was when Stratus, it's really Stratus system, but they increased the number of characters for the fields. Remember this? They went from like 150 to like 300. I'm like, great, I can put more in there. But then people started writing essays, which again, you thought was good at the time, but as time went on, people are no longer interested in reading. They just want to see the headings. So I kind of like this, where you can put the schools in. And then of course, for media, with media, you can upload your branded photography and video. So if you've got a photographer, and I used one guy who did photography, video, and drone for me, but he sent me 4 files. Branded photos, branded video, unbranded photo, unbranded video. Unbranded, everything goes to your board. The branded stuff you put on your personal website, your YouTube channel, your Facebook, social media, or Remax.ca. You paid for it, you might as well put your branded stuff on Remax.ca. Remax.ca doesn't follow or subscribe to the board rules. Okay? So that's what I would do. So again, beef up your listing. And you can add more photos as well. How many, Berry board, how many photos can you put up? 50, right? I think you guys increased. That's a lot. Wow. Tress, when I left, it was 20.
Still 20.
Still 20?
Yeah. Do you remember 7?
All right, yeah, no, it was 9. I think it was 9. Was it 7 or 9? Oh, 7, okay. Oh, yeah. All right, so the last slide is adding an open house. Actually, it's the last slide. No, one more. The ad open house is kind of cool, but again, I think about how this would apply in real life. So really, for me, this would be a last-minute thing. So if I were working with a seller and my plans for the weekend fell through, I would likely say, you know what, I'm going to do an open house on the property, if you don't mind. Just make yourself scarce, 12 to 4 Saturday and Sunday. This way I can do an open house on your property. But that's, again, a very last-minute one, because typically if you know you're going to do an open house, you're going to upload the MLS and you're going to go to whatever system you use to upload, to update realtor.ca. And you typically know all this probably Tuesday, the latest Wednesday, you have it all up and running. But let's say it's Friday afternoon, you don't have time to do all that and it won't catch. Then here's where you can still say to your seller, I can still advertise it online on remax.ca. Okay? And the last slide I want to show you is, again, under listings. This is still the listings manager. It's the seller's report. So on the photo itself, right here, you see the cogwheel on the top left? You click on that cogwheel, and then it drops down some reports that you're supposed to be able to have and take to your seller. I will be honest with you, full disclosure, we're still working out what types of reports you can get and create and provide to your seller. Do you remember with Enhanced Listings Manager, we have the neighborhood reports and all those other things? We're trying to do the same thing. Right now, I don't believe it's active. If anyone's on this page right now, and they've got a listing and they can see it, click the cogwheel, tell me what you see. It changes every day, yep.
The listing is not showing here. Isn't it supposed to pull the listing on?
Yeah, so your listing isn't showing there? Okay, it's probably because of how you're set up, so we can look at that before you leave. I'll look at your profile settings. Okay? And once you change something in your setups or your profile, it takes about 15 or 20 minutes for it to refresh. But we'll look at it. Okay? So again, the seller profile, the seller reports, go in there every so often and see what you can pull, but it's going to be very similar to what we had before. So how your listing is performing on remax.ca in comparison to, again, others listings that you're competing against. Okay? So support. I showed you this tile or this slide when we were talking about Launchpad. Again, if it were me, I would just email them, support@remaxintegra.com. If you have any questions about something that might not be working, you can also text them, or you can go into Launchpad and then click the broker agent support tile, which will take you to a page where you're going to have to fill in a ticket. Okay, but if it were me, support@remaxintegra.com. So some next steps for you. I know we did this when we were talking about Launchpad this morning. I had you guys go to Remax University, and we typed into the search bar Leadstreet. And I asked you guys what you saw. Most of you guys saw Leadstreet Agent Webinar January 2019. That is, again, where you can get refreshed information about what we did today. I know most of you are going to want to see, again, how you upload those multiple contacts. That's at around the 26th minute. Okay, so watch that video for support. You don't necessarily have to watch all these other ones. I like the one that I put together. The importing contacts here is okay. The only thing is it doesn't talk about removing special characters. Okay? Just watch mine. Okay, it goes through everything in detail. And then just some next steps or some key takeaways. I'll just point out a few. Please set up your FSA. Please make sure you, again, update your profile in Launchpad. And please make sure you play around with things like the listing manager, okay? And make sure your contacts are uploaded as well. Play around with the campaigns. Okay? understand what those campaigns are, so that you know exactly which ones you're going to activate when you meet people for the first time. And again, that's me. Hopefully you guys learned one or two things. Are we good?
Yep.
Yeah? Everyone's gonna explode?
Yeah.
Okay. Pick one thing from this morning, pick one thing from this afternoon. It doesn't have to be complicated, all right? All right, thanks guys.
Thank you.